Hey folks, this is Ignacio with North Star Senior Advisors. Thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to be discussing a pretty good topic. I've been wanting to do this for quite a little while now. We have a lot of clients and seniors and families that have a lot of questions regarding falls prevention in the home. So I'm very excited about what we're going to be discussing today, which is that topic in itself. Really quick about us. So North Star Senior Advisors, we provide senior placement services here in Central Florida. Been in business about 6 years now. We help seniors and families transition into assisted living and memory care. Also here recently, we started a new service under North Star Cares. We now provide Geriatric Care Management service. Today, I have the pleasure of joining me, Dr. Harry. Dr. Harry is with Harry Physical Therapy and Wellness. So, Dr. Harry, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Do you mind sharing with us really quick about yourself, your company?
Sure. So my name is Dr. Harry. I'm a physical therapist. So the company I own is Harry Physical Therapy and Wellness. We provide physical and occupational therapy throughout Central Florida. And the best part is we go into the home. So instead of you coming to us, we come to you. We do all the CDC guidelines. We're very, one-on-one therapy, all protected. And we also take insurance. So we bill under Medicare Part B, if you have Medicare, for example. And we also take other Advantage plans that are PPO plans as well. It's all one-on-one, like I said. We're in the house between 45 minutes to an hour. And we specialize in fall prevention, Parkinson's. Anything that's related to the senior population is one of our specialties.
Excellent.
And one of the things, whether you're homebound or not homebound, we can still see you in the home as well. I think that's very important to point out.
That's right. So for folks that are watching, if you're Medicare Part A is the one that covers hospitals, nursing homes, and the criteria for the home is for you to be homebound. So Part B, that's not the case. So you can come and go as you please, so they can come to you in the home, which is excellent. Good.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's dive in, Dr. Harry. Let's start with the obvious question, and I know this can be pretty broad, but what exactly is a fall? Okay, can you define that for us from a clinical perspective?
Yeah, so what I did was I found the actual definition of a fall so everybody can understand it better, because falls, as you said, can be so broad. So any unintentional change in position where the person ends up on the floor, ground, or other lower level, that is going to be considered a fall. So whether you went from a chair to a stair, or from standing to a stair or to the floor, and it was unintentional, that's considered a fall. And even if somebody helps you to the ground as you're going down, that is still by definition considered a fall, even though you are assisted to the ground.
Excellent. That's a good point. I didn't think of it that way. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. So what would you say are some health consequences to a fall? And I know it can vary depending on, I would think, the impact of the fall, your baseline, right? When you do fall, whatever you have going on. But what would be some consequences to a fall?
So there's many consequences, emotional consequences, financial that we'll get into later. One of the main ones that I see is physical injuries and mental injuries. So you have broken bones. Out of every fall, 1 in 5 falls have a serious injury. So 1 in 4 Americans over 65 fall each year based on the statistics. And out of those 1 in 4, 1 in 5 of those who fell can have a broken bone, suffer a head injury, which can be very serious. And then one other very disturbing fact that we have found, that 1 in 3 adults over the age of 50 with a hip fracture would die in the first 12 months of having a fall if they don't get it taken care of. So 1 in 3, which is a very, very high number if you have a hip fracture. So those are some of the physical implications of having a fall.
Yeah, that is a high number. And, back when I was a nurse, I was an orthopedic nurse, as a matter of fact, working ortho trauma. And unfortunately, we did see that a lot. That it can be extremely devastating for a senior to have a hip fracture, especially if they have comorbidities from what I've seen. Obviously, that will complicate rehab potentially. So I agree completely with that. Let's talk about the financial impact, right? Because folks usually, immediately you're thinking about the health consequences, which is the first thing, of course, anybody would think about. But then now you got to pay for things. And and the impact on that can be significant as well.
Well, normally when people think of a fall, they might think, well, I go to the doctor, I get patched up, and it's all done. But there is so much more than that. If you have a serious injury, you have the surgery to deal with. Then you have placement. You may have to go to rehab. You have physical therapy, occupational therapy, nursing, medications, dressings. All these things can really add up. And what we have found that in 2015, the total cost of falls in the US was $50 billion. That was the total cost of falls in the US. This year, pre-COVID, it was anticipated that the total cost of falls was going to be $67.7 billion.
That is
so if you think of that, it's a very, very high number. And that's why it's so important to try to avoid falls and have, fall prevention and fall safety. And we haven't even talked about the mental impact of a fall. The fear of getting up and walking around, the fear of moving, all these things, come with falls.
So let's talk about some safety tips at home, right? So people that are watching, they've kind of gotten the dirty and the facts about the consequences, but what can be done to prevent a fall? And maybe also let's look at it from a caregiver perspective, right? So if you're caring for your loved one at home, what can be done to help mitigate a fall?
Okay. And just to add to that, most falls do happen in the house. So most falls happen at home. So a few things that you want to do is keep the floors clutter-free. So what I tell my clients in particular, it's kind of hard in real life sometimes to get everything off the ground, but at least at nights between your bed and the bathroom, have a nice clear path that you can get through. So you can get from the bathroom to the bed and back at night, because most older adults get up at night to use the bathrooms. Also, if you have any throw rugs on the floor, try to remove those. If they're just too nice and you don't want to move them, another suggestion is putting some double-sided tape under the rugs so it stays on the ground so you don't trip over the ground. And then lots of lights. I don't have one here with me, unfortunately, but I give all my clients a flashlight. So we have small flashlights that we give our clients. So when they get up at night, they can easily use it to see where they're going in case their house is dark. And also adding handrails and grab bars in the bathroom is pretty important, because a lot of falls happen in the bathroom due to having the tub, there's water, it's a very tight space. So having some grab bars installed into your shower or next to the toilet is also very important.
Excellent. Those are great tips. I would think also maybe some kind of call system if they're cognitively there, right? They can call for assistance. I mean, the challenge from what we've seen typically is, unfortunately, those at early stage dementia, right? I mean, that can be a challenge at times. But I think it's still, the tips that we shared here, I think are still extremely beneficial. What would be some exercises to help with strengthening and range of motion? Because at the end of the day, a fall can happen accidentally, and also could be, I would think, because your muscles and your overall strength is not quite there.
Yeah, so that's one thing that we find. Your core, and as you know, Ignacio, I know you work out, so you know about your core very well. Your core and your leg muscles are very important in terms of preventing falls. So one thing I ask my clients to do is an exercise called sit to stand. So you're in a chair, you get to the edge of the chair, you stand up, and you sit down. So that's one exercise you can do. It's going to strengthen your leg muscles, also your core. Another one you can do, if you're safe doing it, is as you're standing, get a chair or something to hold on to. And I'll put the camera a little bit lower quickly so you guys can see. But you can also do a standing march. So you can go up and down in a standing march kind of sequence. Those are two things I would give as tips in order to prevent or to limit your risk for falls. There's more that we do in physical therapy, of course, but these are two very important ones that I like to give my clients to start off with. Excellent.
Good. I love the tips, and I appreciate you going through the motions too, because that's very helpful for those that are watching. Yeah. If there is a fall, what should you do if you suffer a fall, or if your loved ones suffer a fall? What would you recommend some actions to be taken?
But one thing that I would say is very important, like you touched upon as well, is having a call system or having something that you wear, like a life alert or a bracelet. Also, the Apple Watches, which is kind of nice. In the brand new Apple Watches, when you fall and they detect that change in position, it
Mm-hmm.
actually alerts you and asks you if you're okay. And if you don't respond within a minute, they will call your emergency contact. So the Apple Watch is a very nice feature, but there are other nice things out there. And those, of course, for the caregivers are very important, or even cameras installed into the rooms in case the person is cognitively impaired and they move around. You can see what they're doing. Those are good. But if you're an older adult and you suffer a fall, the very first thing I tell all my clients to do is to just stay there for a minute. And the reason why is if right now I told you, Ignacio, or you told me, you just won $10 billion or $10 million, I can jump around. I'm very happy. I'm excited. I can cut myself. I can do all this, injure myself, but I won't feel it because I'm so excited. And the same thing happens when you get a fall. Your adrenaline is pumping, so you won't feel any injuries. So I tell everybody to sit there for a while and calm down, and then feel for any blood, feel for any injuries, feel around your body to see if anything hurts or anything is swollen or out of alignment. Once you've done that, the very next thing I would say is call for help. So whether you have your cell phone, again, the Apple Watch, Life Alert bracelet, or some system where you can call somebody, that'll be the very next step that you wanted. Or even shout for help if somebody's in the house with you. Mm-hmm. That's the very next step. Now, if those two things are not available, let's say you don't have anyone around you to help you, the next thing would be is to try to get onto all fours and crawl to the nearest sturdy object. And in my seminars and my presentations, I show this in detail, but you want to get to a solid chair with no wheels or a table or something to grab onto. The one thing you don't want to do is try to get up on an open floor, because if you have nothing to hold on to, you can go back down.
Yeah.
So that's a few tips I would give in falling. The most important, and the one final thing I would say that's very important is tell somebody. So let's say you had a fall and you got up and you feel fine, tell somebody. And I'll share a quick story. I had a client, had a fall, fell out of bed, had a dream he was fighting somebody and they were rolling, and apparently he rolled out of bed, hit his head, didn't tell anybody, thought he was fine. Week 1, he felt fine. Week 2, he started to get a little bit of, he was walking, but kind of staggering a little bit, but nothing major. By week 3, he was incontinent. He couldn't hold his balance up, he couldn't do anything. And luckily, he went to the hospital at that point or called the EMS. And what they found was when he fell, he hit a vein, one of those veins in his head. And what veins do is when veins are broken, blood pours out of them, but it pours out very slowly. So what was going on was that blood was slowly seeping out and putting pressure on his brain. And thankfully, he went to the hospital. He had surgery. They took the pressure off the brain and he was fine. Mm-hmm. But you can see in that situation, it took 3 weeks and he had no idea.
Yeah.
Tell somebody.
Yeah, that's tough. And, for us working with our clients, we've come across scenarios where, they've fallen and unfortunately they've been on the floor for hours, sometimes days. I mean, we've heard those stories and it's unfortunate. Really quick, I want to transition into appropriateness in terms of like for our industry, because we come up on this a lot. So one of the things to go into an assisted living, folks, and senior living is you have to be able to at least stand up, bear weight, and pivot with assistance, right? We found sometimes whether they're at the rehab, they're still getting strengthening at the rehab, or if they're at home, that may not be the case, right? So services like Dr. Harry's can come to you and perform that therapy and that strengthening to get you to where then you meet that criteria to move into senior living. Anything you want to touch on that, Dr. Harry?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point, and that's one of the main things we work on. We have some clients who are living in their house and they're either going to downsize or they're going to go into a facility, but they don't want to go into a nursing home. So they want to make sure they can meet that criteria to get into the facility. And the great part about us seeing them in the home, we can replicate what it's like to be in a home, because in the ALFs, that's literally your home you're living in. So we can work on transfers, we work on walking, we work on standing, we work on bed mobility. We even work on getting up off the ground. So a lot of our clients, we actually put them on the ground safely, of course. We have a mat that we put down, and we guide them. We guide them step by step. Okay, put your hands here, grab onto this and do this. So that way they not only can qualify for that assisted living and they can live there with a community, but also they can have their confidence. A lot of seniors, unfortunately, are fearful. They may get depressed because they're not feeling that they can do as much as they used to. They get lonely. So we really try to work on not only the physical aspect, but that motivational, and trying to show them that, hey, even though you did have a fall, or you're not as strong as you used to be, you are stronger than you think you are by us showing you things that you can do that you never thought you could do. So that's one thing that we really try to harp on, and focus on the patient and just help them to see that they can do more than they think they can.
Yeah, that's excellent. So folks, I'm going to be posting here, you've seen it already, Dr. Harry's information, contact information, phone number, website. Feel free to give him a call directly. You do a great job here in Central Florida. If you feel you need that service, or if you know somebody that can benefit from those services, give him a call today. So Dr. Harry, I want to thank you for your time. I appreciate you being here with me, folks. Hopefully you found this information useful. Again, you'll find this on our website, our YouTube channel, and videos like these. So thank you again for joining us, and stay safe. Thank you, Dr. Harry.
You stay safe as well. And thank you for having me. And as well, my phone number, guys, when you call it, it comes directly to me. So I'll be the one answering the phone. I like to be very personable and talk and connect with the clients first before they see anybody else. But again, Ignacio, thanks for having me, and you stay safe as well.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.